Welcome back to The Contender. I'm Congresswoman Erin Houchin. Today, I'm joined by my colleague and friend, Congressman Mike Flood, who serves as chairman of the House Financial Services Subcommittee on Housing and Insurance, and is also the chair of the Republican Main Street Caucus. Housing affordability has become one of the biggest challenges facing families across the country, and Congressman Flood has made this issue a top priority in Congress. Mike, thanks so much for joining us on the podcast today.
Thanks for having me, Erin.
It's great to be with you. You represent the great state of Nebraska, the Huskers.
The Cornhuskers, yes.
The
By the way,
Cornhuskers.
we're a basketball school now.
Are you?
We're a basketball school.
What happened to your football team?
Well, we're rebuilding. We're also a volleyball school.
Are you a volleyball school?
But I will tell you, we are very proud of the Hoosiers.
Thank you.
We have been rooting for them the entire time. It is fun to see the excitement for your football team, and we want them to do very, very, very well. We're very proud of them.
Thank you. We will be cheering on the Hoosiers. I don't know when this will air, but we are cheering on the Hoosiers tonight. You started your career in communications and radio.
Yes.
Could you tell us about your time as Sideshow Mike?
Oh, that's funny. So actually, I grew up and still live in Norfolk, Nebraska. And when I went to college at Notre Dame, St. Joseph County, Indiana, I got a job in Mishawaka at WBYT, B100. It was 1995, and the morning show guy said, hey, we need a stunt man. And so I became Sideshow Mike and worked commercially for a couple of years. It took a year off after college before I went to law school and worked full time. So I was at the Elkhart County Fair, I was down in Goshen, Shipshewana.
So you're a Hoosier?
Well, I was a Hoosier. I lived in Indiana for 5 years, and I lived in Mishawaka. And have a bunch of friends out there. So, not many Notre Dame students connect with the community like I did. But I feel like I had two lives out there. One as a student and then another just as a Hoosier living in northern Indiana. So you couldn't be further away from northern Indiana. You're in the southern tip.
Yes, I'm almost to Louisville, Kentucky.
Oh, okay.
They call my part of the state Kentuckiana. Actually.
Oh, I actually heard that. They call South Bend Michiana.
Oh, that's right. Yes. Yeah. So you were in Michiana, I'm in Kentuckiana. That quite far apart. You mentioned you were a stunt man as Sideshow Mike. You're not really built like a stunt man. I don't know.
Well, Evel Knievel was thin. I mean, what are you talking about? Evel Knievel's from my home state.
Really?
Yeah, he grew up about 35 miles from me.
Well, you had a good role model then.
Yeah. Well, I actually got into a lot of interesting situations. I was duct taped to a pole one time in Mishawaka. And then they drove the Humvee out from underneath me, and I stayed there for like 2 hours. So.
Oh, my goodness.
Yeah.
So
these are not things I'm really proud of now, but I mean, at the time, it was great radio.
It was great, and I think some of those clips might still be out there somewhere.
I'm pretty sure they're not. And if they are, they're tucked into a vault in my safety deposit box.
Did you have a vehicle that you drove?
A Humvee, yeah.
You drove a Humvee.
Of course, they made them up there.
Yes. Oh, that's right.
Yeah, so I had a Humvee.
That's not too bad.
Hey. You're 21 years old. You're driving around in a Humvee. I mean, you're on the radio.
The man on the street.
The man on the street. It doesn't get any better than that.
Well, I have to say, the upbringing that you received as a student at Notre Dame and in that part of Indiana, your time as a Hoosier, I trust has served you well in Nebraska and as a member of Congress.
It has. I got a great education there, and I came back to Nebraska, got a law degree, and I love my home state. And I want to see the Huskers rise again in football, but it's been a real honor to represent the 1st District of Nebraska in Congress.
When my daughter was looking at colleges, Nebraska sent her a recruitment letter. She's not in sports or anything, but they sent her a letter, look at Nebraska, and gave her some Cornhuskers merch.
Yeah, of course.
And my son was very young at the time. He's 16 now, but he just became in that moment
a Husker.
And since that time, now he's talking about wanting to go to IU now, but for the longest time he was going to go to Nebraska and be a Husker because of that marketing program.
There's still time.
There's still time. Okay. Well, let's get more serious and talk about this housing issue. As the chairman of the Subcommittee on Housing and Insurance, you are really working on these issues every day in Congress. We had the Affordable Homes Act on the floor today. That was our bill that we worked on together, trying to reduce the cost of building manufactured housing. The Biden administration had not just HUD or Housing and Urban Development regulating affordable or manufactured housing, also the Department of Energy with these energy efficiency standards that really didn't make any sense for the product or the market, ended up raising costs of manufactured housing by $5,000 to $10,000 per key, per door, per unit. What do you think, what more can we be doing legislatively outside of the work on the Affordable Homes Act to reduce the cost of housing and help particularly young Americans get into a first-time home?
Well, because of your bill, like you said, you save between $5,000 and $10,000 on a manufactured home. If we pass another bill that I put forward called 21st Century Housing, we can get rid of the requirement that a manufactured home have a chassis. Which Congressman Rose from Tennessee brought to the table. That saves another $15,000. So think about a $25,000 savings on a manufactured home. You know, when you look at when people apply for mortgages, the sweet spot for them is between $200 and $230. If you can reduce the cost of enough of this manufactured housing, and now secondary market's lending on it, you can sell somebody a manufactured home. And the manufactured homes of today are not the trailers of yesteryear. You don't even know this was a manufactured home. And if you get rid of the chassis requirement, you can bring those costs more in line where Americans have the money for it. So what your bill does, the one that I worked with you on, it really does move the needle. When you pair it with removing the requirement for a chassis, mobile and manufactured homes become far more interesting. But beyond that, I'm pleased to say that the Financial Services Committee, we've put together a bipartisan package almost unanimously. We worked with Democrats. We did it the way Congress is supposed to work. We found common ground, and we are hoping to vote on that on the floor later this month. And it will do everything from remove the environmental studies and all the other hurdles for federal funding. It'll remove the Build America, Buy America, which everybody agrees with. But the problem is that can add 25% onto the cost of any home that's using federal funding. And then letting cities use some of that money for infrastructure. Sometimes it's not the cost of the home, it's the storm sewer requirements or the wastewater requirements or the stormwater requirements. And so there's a lot of things that we have on the horizon. And with President Trump now on the track with housing, I think momentum is on our side.
Well, I'm glad that you mentioned, just the cost of regulation. And if we think about the added cost that you've just mentioned, the $25,000 in the chassis and the $10,000 to $15,000 up to on energy efficiency.
Right.
That's not money that homeowners even can get back in an equity stake.
Right.
That's just completely off the top sunk cost before somebody even steps into the home first step.
Right. And what I love about manufactured housing today is that, it doesn't matter your income level, whether you are just starting out, maybe low income or high income. What do beginning families want? They want an island in the kitchen. They want a pantry. They want a big bathtub. They want a special kind of shower. They want extra storage. They want a mud room. All of these things are now available in manufactured housing. And what I love about manufactured housing is it's the right price point, and it lets folks that are at the beginning or the dawn or wherever they are in the income scale enjoy the benefits that everybody else has. We all have the same dreams about what we want in our house. And you shouldn't have to sacrifice just because you're struggling. And if you're working 50 hours a week, you deserve a house. We should get you a house. And manufactured housing today has really, I think, stepped up its game, and removing some of these common sense hurdles that we've identified will help more people.
One of the criticisms that the Democrats have issued on the Affordable Homes Act is that, we have to put in these energy efficiency standards up front to reduce utility costs over time. And this was a bipartisan bill as well. We had support of Democrats, many on the floor today that voted for this bill. But some of them have been arguing that energy efficiency should trump no pun intended, should trump the input to get it in, even to get through the door and purchase the home. Because it saves money over time. But when people are trying to make those first-time purchases, the energy efficiency standards don't matter if they can't afford to buy it.
Right, and like I said, the windows, the siding, all of the weatherization in these units is much different than it was 30 years ago. Requiring all of the, let's just be honest, this stuff that some Democrats are talking about, it's tied to their climate change goals. It's not tied to housing affordability. They aren't looking out for the homeowner 5 years from now. They are trying to meet their climate goals. And, nobody's more careful or frugal with their energy bill than people that don't have a lot of money. They will make the right decisions about what they can afford and the temperature they want their air conditioner at or the temperature they want their heater at. And so I think a lot of one of the reasons you saw so many Democrats vote on your bill is that they understand. And I think there's a sea change right now among Democrats with this book that Ezra Klein wrote about abundance. Democrats are seeing that these well-intentioned hurdles that they placed in front of housing are hurting the very people they're trying to help, which is first-time home buyers.
Yep, that's exactly right. Our colleague from Massachusetts, who was also on the bill, the Democrat from Massachusetts, is Jake Auchincloss.
Oh, he was wonderful on the floor today.
And he mentioned something that I think is important to note with respect to even the climate change goals, that this adds $5,000 to $10,000 per unit cost for a manufactured house, and it saves about a teaspoon of greenhouse gas emission, the standard.
He was wonderful. When he spoke today, I really enjoyed hearing that. And that's the reality. Housing is not a partisan issue. Housing is an American issue that we have to solve. And I have been more than pleased to work with Emmanuel Cleaver and Maxine Waters on the Financial Services Committee, both of whom have fallen in support of everything that our committee's done. And this is really one of the bright spots in Congress. It's a bipartisan housing bill that will be on the floor to complement what you already did with your bill this week.
I think that's one thing that people don't understand necessarily or see at home is that we do work well with the other side of the aisle because good policy supersedes the politics. And all of the negativity and the fighting and the polarization is really driven mostly by outside entities. It's not internal to the body of Congress. And I wish that more people could see the internal workings versus what they only see on TV.
Oh, I totally agree. The day that we pushed that bill out on a 50-1 vote in our committee, I thought this is really the story of the day. And it got zero coverage because there's no anger there. There's no outrage. That's what sells on television. And the anger is the cheapest emotion. And here, our committee's moving this bipartisan legislation, and we've got folks that have a lot of credibility in the housing space on the Democratic side, Maxine Waters, Emmanuel Cleaver, buying into this bipartisan solution. That should be the story. That's what Americans need to hear.
That's exactly right. What do you think is driving up housing costs still today? And your bill that I'm looking forward to having also come across the House floor, the 21st Century Housing Act.
Yes.
What are some of the things that are driving up cost?
Well, it's a supply issue. So we're about 5 million units short right now, which is pushing up valuations. The other thing we have is that we have a lot of folks that are locked into a very low 30-year mortgage, sub 3%. I'm one of those people.
So they're not going to move out.
Yes, I got a 2.7% fixed rate for 30 years. I have a hard time justifying moving out of my house because I like that payment and I like that interest rate. And so that's just math. And then on top of it, we've got this issue with home insurance. A lot of Americans now are paying more between their home insurance premiums and property tax than they are in their principal and interest payments. And that has done a couple of things. It has shot up valuations for everybody else. And as the insurance valuations go up, as the supply issue brings up valuations, it increases the cost of insurance. And so it's really just like a snowball that keeps going down the side of the mountain. It gets bigger and bigger and bigger. The only way to get out of this is we need more supply. We need more homes. We need multifamily. We need single family. We need to get creative. We need to look at these urban centers where we can take commercial buildings and make it into residential, multifamily. So supply. That is where we're at.
And having additional regulations reduces the supply. It also, the cost of regulation at last count was somewhere in the neighborhood of 38% of the cost of a home is in regulation alone. Knocking some of these things down, I think, will be a big help.
Well, and our bill that will be on the floor later this year does really 3 really big things. It gets rid of the Build America, Buy America, which makes it easier to build a home using any kind of federal funds. It addresses the Section 3 requirements that you have to have low-income, unskilled folks that to build these structures. Which obviously is hard to do when you're trying to build a home. And then it really walks back a lot of these environmental studies that need to be done. But on top of all of that, we did something in the One Big Beautiful Bill that I don't think we've gotten any credit for. We greatly expanded LIHTC, the low-income tax credit program for affordable housing. We greatly expanded that. And that alone in the One Big Beautiful Bill is going to lead to a lot more affordable housing, because those LIHTC tax credits are the one federal program that really moves the needle. And if we can pair that with your bill, my bill, and get the Democrats to come along, we can remodel housing for the first time since 2015.
That's amazing. I want to switch now to just your motivation for coming to Congress.
Yeah.
You were Speaker of the House in the bicameral.
A unicameral.
The unicameral legislature in Nebraska. What motivated you to come to Washington and serve as a member of Congress?
Well, to be honest, I never really had this on my bingo card. I was serving in the legislature. Our Congressman, Jeff Fortenberry, had trouble with the Department of Justice, ended up being found guilty of a crime, and we found ourselves in a situation where our party needed a nominee. And so I ran for that seat. I was elected in a special election. And, I'm a legislator. I think there's a lot of value in being a legislator. I think being a legislator is harder than being an executive, because we're in such a pluralized environment. And what I love about Congress is I work with good people, very impressed with the caliber of people, yourself included. But I also like the complexity of it. I like the fact that, this isn't something where you can be here for 6 months and have it all figured out. You've got to put your time in the House. You've got to show up. You've got to listen before you speak. And then, as you put time in, you can impact policy. And to change law at the federal level versus the state level and unicameral, I bet when you were in the legislature, you had your 5 bills that you wanted to pass, and you'd be upset if you didn't pass 4 of them. Same thing for me in Nebraska. You come here and you're like, if I can just get 1 bill passed, it is a moment. But this place is designed to make sure everything's vetted well, and I love the challenge of it. I like serving Nebraska in this way, and I really like the people that are here.
You also serve not just as the subcommittee chairman in financial services, but you're the chairperson for Republican Main Street Partnership. Could you talk a little bit about what Main Street Partnership is and why it's important to your work in Congress?
So about 10 years ago, a number of members of Congress got together and they basically said, hey, we need to be the voice for Main Street, for small businesses, for families, for the conservative causes that everyday Americans care about. We need to be the pragmatic wing of the Republican Party that wants to govern. And so I joined that like you did when I got here, and just got more and more impressed by the leadership of it, to see how we work behind the scenes to solve problems. We always vote to fund the government. We always vote to try and keep the train on the track. And, I was fortunate in the last year to become the chairman of it. It's 87 members strong, which is great. And it's an opportunity for all members to kind of come together once a week, listen to, we have Tom Homan coming from Immigration Customs Enforcement, Homeland Security.
The border czar.
The border czar, yes. We have great speakers. And then we have good conversations about how do we move our agenda forward. And, what's neat about Main Street, and you've been in it, leadership depends on the members of Main Street to, speak for the majority of members and say, this is what we have to get accomplished. And we just
and to speak for Main Street America.
Right. You can spend a lot of time focused on the stock market, which means you're paying attention to Wall Street, or you're talking to the tech companies, the Meta and the Alphabet and everybody else. But the great bulk of America has a Main Street, whether you're in South Chicago or downtown Des Moines or or
Salem, Indiana.
Salem, Indiana, or Norfolk, Nebraska. And this gives a voice to those folks.
I'm glad to be part of it.
Yeah.
It's I call it, we're pragmatic conservatives, but it's also a scenario we often say, let's not let the perfect be the enemy of the good. There's lots of good that we do here. There's probably no perfect piece of legislation that we're going to get out of the House of Representatives, but we should get as much as we can for Main Street America at every opportunity, and then come back again and fight the next day.
I like to say we crucified the last perfect person, So, and somebody told me one time when I was in the State House, they said, you don't have to be right, you just have to be successful. And sometimes you have to make compromises. And I think when you ask a business owner if that's the way business works, yes. If you ask a school administrator if that's the way it works, yes. If you ask a husband and a wife, is that the way it works? Yes.
If you ask a toddler, they would say no.
Yeah. Very nice analogy. I like that.
Well, this podcast is called The Contender. The background on The Contender is that my husband, who you know, was preparing for a community meditation at church and spoke about contending for the faith. Okay. And how important that was for our daily lives. And we wanted to impart that to our kids. So he wrote contend on a piece of paper and posted it on the door as they were leaving the house to go to school. The kids were very young. My oldest daughter wrote work hard and stuck it under there. And then our free spirit, Elaine, said have fun. So for the longest time, it said contend, work hard, have fun, and that's become our family motto.
That's great.
It's really about fighting for things that you care about despite heavy odds, like serving in Congress, right, but also working hard, very hard at it, and enjoying the process. We all know that there are people in our lives that have been contenders to us. Examples of people who have been a contender in a certain way, a parent or a professor or a business associate. Who is someone who you might consider to be a contender in your life? And tell us a story about that person and why they're a contender for you.
Oh boy, you dropped this out of just big time here. Somebody that's a contender in my life. You know, I would tell you that former Governor Dave Heineman in Nebraska, longest serving governor in state history. I was a brand new young 30-year-old speaker, and he is a brand new governor, took office after Mike Johans became ag secretary. And we developed a relationship that respected the autonomy of each of our branches of government. But we built a friendship and a relationship over time that, I probably talk to him once a week, and he's no longer an elected official, but he is very active in Nebraska. He has the pulse of the state in his blood, in his bones, and he's somebody, he went to West Point, he served as a state treasurer, as lieutenant governor, as governor, that I have just learned a lot from, and he knows how tough this business is, and it's getting tougher, by the way, with some of the political violence that we see. But he's somebody that I would say really makes me better because, he's willing to push back. He's willing to, he calls a spade, and he also understands Nebraska, and it's a sounding board for me.
Great.
By the way, to the people of Indiana, you hit the jackpot with Erin Houchin. She does a great job here. We have our offices across the way. My wife and I really enjoy the judge and Erin, and it goes without saying that the people of Indiana should be really pleased with sending an operator to Congress that'll do good things for the Hoosier state, but also good things for America. So I'm honored to work with you, Erin.
Thank you. It's been a great pleasure to serve with you, Chairman Flood. You're a good friend. You and Mandy mean a lot to the judge and I, so the judge and me.
Yeah.
Thank you for joining us on the podcast. Keep up the great work here in Congress on behalf of Nebraskans, and maybe you'll get a Cornhusker out of our family, but probably not.
Go Big Red.
Go Big Red. Or go IU. Go
yeah,
Hoosiers.
That's right.
Yeah, it's yours. The Huskers are Big Red.
Yeah, we're Big Red.
Oh, okay. Go IU.
Oh, yeah. Well, we want IU to win, so good luck.
Go Hoosiers. Mike, thanks for your leadership on these issues and for taking the time to join us today. Housing affordability does affect every community. I appreciate the work that you're doing.
Pleasure. Have a good weekend.
You too. To our listeners, thank you for tuning in to another episode. Don't forget to subscribe, share the podcast, and stay inspired to contend, work hard, and have fun. Thanks again for joining us. We'll see you next time.